Hey, welcome back. Amber came back, and today, as part of this series where we're focusing on, so first I showed my body, like the tendency for stiff people to be collapsing into poses, going to the path of least resistance, etc. But now we're going to show the flip side of it. So we're going to see what a really flexible person will look like and how they can create stability as well. So let's get started. Take child's pose. So for today's class, I have a couple of blocks. So in your child's pose, we have the big toes together, the knees wide enough for your ribs to fit in between, stretch forward. Now, it's okay to just chill in poses, that's fine. But we want to have a balance of engaging and releasing. So here the tendency would just be to let the arms go slack. So instead, I want you to push into your hands and then turn on your triceps, your outer arms here. As you turn on your triceps, be careful not to tense in your neck. So feel at the base of the neck you could spread. So the yoga poses are this fine balance of engaging some things and releasing the other things that are chronically tight. The things that are chronically turned off or not working in the body, those need to get turned on. The over-tightened, overworked areas, we teach to relax as we turn those areas on. Now come up onto your hands and your knees. And just to get the spine moving, let's do a couple rounds of cat-cow, moving with your breath. So as you inhale, go into extension. And as you exhale, go into flexion. Inhale into extension. Exhale into flexion. Inhale into neutral. Now we're going to try to move segmentally, which will be difficult because we tend to hinge from one part of the spine. So starting from your sacrum, as you inhale, start to go into extension one vertebra at a time. So Amber has the advantage of me tapping her spine, but you could just imagine someone tapping your spine, trying to let each bone of the spine move into extension and not letting one part move more than the other, or the feeling like that. Then as you exhale, start to round. Start from your sacrum and then work your way up. Now, of course, that's not anatomically true. The lower back will arch more than the thoracic, then the neck more than the thoracic, but the feeling is if you're working towards a smooth curve of the spine. Now inhale into neutral spine. Stretch your right arm forward and your left leg back. Brace in your core, lift up on your rib cage as you stretch the limbs. Then as you exhale, bring the elbow knee together. Inhale, reach back out, but try not to dip in your lower back. Keep the rib cage braced. Exhale, pull back in. Inhale, reach out, but like you have a corset tied in your middle so that your middle is in sync. Exhale, draw in. Inhale, reach out. Good, lower your hand and your knee down. Change sides, stretch the left arm forward, the right leg back. So just to reach out, notice the tendency to drop in this area. As you exhale, draw the elbow knee together. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, draw in. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, draw in. Inhale, reach out without the ribs dropping. Good, lower your hand and your knee down. Now curl your toes under, lift your knees, lift your hips, stretch back. Okay, now we're gonna go for block in between the thighs for downward facing dog. What this is gonna do is teach you to turn on your legs, and as you turn on the inner legs, you're gonna feel something pretty cool in your spine. So set your knees down on the ground, put your block in between your thighs. This is a wood block, so it's pretty intense. Sorry. Okay, so with the block in between your thighs, I want you to hug your inner legs, but I want you to see if you can hug evenly into the block. We might have one inner leg that wants to take over. Now keep your spine in neutral, so you're not letting the rib cage sink. We have more stability here because we have the rib cage protecting the lungs and the heart, but we don't have any support for the organs down here. So you're gonna create stability here and lift your knees up just 1 inch. Good, now as you hug the block, press in between the space between your big toe mound and second toe mound and have the heels pointing straight up. Spread across your collarbones. Don't drop in your middle. Now pull your shoulder blades onto your back. As the shoulder blades pull down, the middle will want to drop, so balance those actions. Don't overdo one or the other. Just 5 more minutes here. No, okay. Now from here, as you reach into the hands, now lift up into downward facing dog. Shift out of your dog just a couple inches forward like you're coming to plank. Now pause there. Push into your hands and turn on your triceps like we did at the beginning. Feel your collarbones broad. Now hug the block evenly with your thighs. Spin your inner thighs back behind you and then point the heels straight back. So that if you look back, your inner heels are hiding behind you. Squeeze that block as we hold for 5, 4, 3. Now make sure as you're squeezing with the legs and squeezing with your hips and your glutes that you're not blocking the breath, so you're not tensing your neck, jaw, shoulders, tongue. Let the breath flow. Then set your knees down. Good. Okay, now we're going to come into plank with the block. So stretch back into downward facing dog. And then inhale into plank position. Once again, press down into the big toe mound, second toe mound. Heels point straight up. Now pretend like you're pressing with your heels into a wall, like I pinned you right up against the wall. And as you push into the heels, squeeze your block with your inner thighs. Make sure that the back of the leg or the front of the leg isn't winning, but your inner thigh feels even on the block. Tendency will be to squeeze with the back of the leg more. Good, feel your middle in, but now wheel the skin of the chest up and over the shoulders and pull the shoulder blades down. Head up in line with the spine. Blades on the back. Good job. Now lower all the way down onto your belly. So the block will kind of have to get adjusted so that now it can be into position. All right, now press straight down through your feet and turn your knees to point straight down. As you inhale, come into low cobra. Hug in on the block, but don't hug too aggressively to where you block the flow of breath. Reach back through the inner foot. And then just remember how this area here in the lumbar, we don't have the ribs there. So that's going to want to dip the most in the back bend. So I want you to lengthen through there. And then try to take more back bend through the middle upper back. The neck will want to hinge to make it happen. Keep the neck long and the lower back long. Now lower your chest back down and see if you can push up into plank, squeezing the block. Ooh, nice. Downward facing dog, stretch back. All right, let's do a little flow with the block now. Walk your hands back to your feet. As you inhale, come into a flat back. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up, raise your arms. Exhale, Samastiti. Now we want to be able to move our spine around in all directions. That's awesome. But we also want to be able to stabilize and find neutral when we want it. So this next Urdhva Hastasana, upward hands pose, we're going to do trying to keep the rib cage in neutral, seeing how much movement we can get just from the shoulder. So now you're going to take a block and put it in between your hands. I won't make you do this one for long because it's wood, it's hard.
Okay, good.
If you have a wood block at home, just chill with this one. Okay, so when you stretch your arms forward, your body will want to compensate by bowing and letting the hips and the ribs jut forward. So as you stretch your arms forward holding the block, you're going to do your best to keep your back against the wall. And you can do this with your back against the wall at home. But just for the sake of being able to cameras, we're not going to move to the wall. Now the thighs rotate so that the inner thigh feels even. You're not biting the block with the back of the leg. Hug the block. Feel your rib cage draw back into position. And now engage those triceps. Remember when we were on the ground at the beginning? Feel the triceps turn on. That should be what's holding the block instead of these muscles gripping up. Now, from your strong triceps and without your ribs coming forward, just see how much you can raise your arms up. When your ribs start to want to cheat, pause there. Now take a breath all the way down into your container. Uncrunch the shoulders, but strengthen the triceps. Push into your feet, hug the block. Draw your rib cage so that you're aiming it straight down towards your hips like a pipe. Turn on the triceps one more time, squeeze, and then bring the block back down. Nice job. Take your arms forward. Let's do it one more time without the block. Press into your feet, hug the thighs, and then slowly start to raise your arms up. Keep your ribs aimed straight down like a pipe. You can stretch them down, engage the triceps like when you're holding the block, stretch past your fingertips, and fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale into a flat back. Walk your hands out into a plank position. So I just want you to understand that this isn't like you have to do it this way all the time. Coupling thoracic extension with abduction of the arm, that's fine to do too, but we want to be able to do both. We want to be able to keep our core and keep everything in neutral while moving the arm, and we want to be able to move the spine around at the same time. Both are good. Lie down onto your belly. But what we just did with Amber, that is important work to be doing because it's going to really help to mobilize your shoulder and reveal the limitations that you have. Inhale into low cobra. Lower your chest back down. Press straight up into plank. Squeeze the legs, squeeze the block, lift your middle and push. Stretch back to down dog. Okay, now we're going to make it a little more challenging. So on this next set, we'll do a Chaturanga Push-Up and then go into the back bend. Walk your hands back to your feet. Inhale, find a flat back. Now hug that block and don't lock your knees out. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up, raise your arms. Exhale, Samastiti. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Unlock those knees. Unlock the ankle joints. Press into your feet and then walk yourself out one handprint at a time. Hold in the plank. Hug the block, then lower slow to elbow height. Chaturanga, pause, lift straight back up. Good, lie down on your belly. Inhale into low cobra. Now if you feel ready for it, come into up dog. Hug the block evenly, take the back bend up the back, move your glutes out of your lower back to your heels. Tighten the hamstrings. Stretch back to down dog. Walk your hands back to your feet. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, Samastiti. Inhale to reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Now we're going to break the flow as you hold here. Make sure that you haven't locked the ankle joint back. Make sure you haven't locked the knee back. Whenever you lock a joint, you're blocking off the flow of energy just above to the muscles. Anatomically, what it looks like, the muscle can't work anymore when you've locked the joint below. It turns off, so it goes slack. But we want everything to be turned on, strengthened, and lengthened. Now walk your hands out into plank pose. Keep that idea of energy in the legs. So you do want to be hugging the leg muscles, but not locking at the joints. Feel that difference. Open up your collarbones, reach your heart forward, blades pull down the back, lower slowly to Chaturanga, maintaining. Go right to up dog if possible, or go to Cobra, your call. Stretch back to downward facing dog. Good, now just take note what it felt like with the block in between your thighs. Release the block, and then stretch back to dog. So I want you to notice, what did it feel like in my forward bends? What did it feel like in my up dog when I had my legs engaged? Your legs are the gateway to the spine. What you do with the legs determines how your core activates, etc. So it can help you to activate your core and to move better with integrity. Raise your right leg up. Now let your hip open, just stretch your leg as much as you can. Oh, damn. And not that much. No, it's good. Okay, now come back to neutral, and then I want you to squeeze like you're holding the block. It's not right, it's not wrong. These are two different things. Now shift into plank and pull your knee up to your chest. Hold here. Push the floor down. Now take your whole thoracic spine and try to lift it up to the ceiling. And then breathe into this space here, in between your shoulder blades. Tuck your tail a little more and step your foot up by your thumb. Good. Now, imagine you're holding the block again, which doesn't make sense, but that feeling like you're turning on the inner legs. At the same time, though, don't let your right knee cave in. We know we're not supposed to do that. Then as you press down through your feet, come up into crescent lunge. Now, arms like they're holding the block again. So take the arms forward just a little bit. Tip the rib cage to aim it straight down. And then with your strong triceps, start to raise the imaginary block up over your head. Push down into your left big toe mound, like you're pressing back through your back heel. Engage that leg. Release the tension in your neck and your jaw and in your shoulders. When we tend to do a lot of mental work in the pose or tend to turn things on that we're not used to, we tend to block the flow of prana, tense these energy centers here. Don't let that happen. Or when you catch it, release it. Hands down, step back to plank pose. Now your call, take a vinyasa or just stretch back to down dog. We'll leave it up to you. Lift your left leg up. And then open up as much as you can. Now come back to neutral and then hug the imaginary block, hold the rib cage up into position. Shift into plank pose, pull your knee up to your chest. Push down the floor. Take the whole thoracic spine and move it towards the ceiling. And then as you breathe in, breathe into the space between your shoulder blades. Let the breath come up there and at the base of the cervical spine. Don't let the neck get crunched up. Spread the breath through there. Tuck the tail a little more. Step your foot up by your thumb. Pause. Deepen your left hip crease back. Turn on the inner legs without your left knee caving in. Then as you inhale, come up, raise your arms. Lift yourself up an inch. Lift your hips up just an inch, and then take your arms forward a little. Now aim the rib cage straight down, and then with your strong triceps, start to raise the arms up. So often we'll get excited about doing more advanced poses. I can do the poses already. I want to do more advanced poses, and that's cool. I was really excited about that when I first started yoga, and it encouraged my passion to keep practicing. But just as important as striving after more poses, different poses, is learning how to do the poses, the basic poses, and engage in those. It will give you better access into those advanced poses. Bring your hands down. Step back, take a vinyasa, or go right back to dog. So one of the things I was shocked about, I started taking these advanced trainings with some teachers in the Iyengar system. Walk your feet forward and fold. Inhale into chair pose and hold. Now, what I was shocked about is when I started going to these advanced trainings, the whole time we were doing very basic poses, and I was super confused. Here I was with these master teachers, and we're like doing triangle pose over and over again, or warrior one. I'm like, what the hell? I thought this is going to be advanced. And I asked my local teacher, what's the deal with this? And she broke it down for me. She's like, well, go try I was working on doing TikToks, which are like backflips from handstands. Go try, see what happens with your thoracic spine after Warrior One day. Oh, now I can engage all the muscle. I have more control. I have more flexibility in the place I should have flexibility. Stand, arms at your side. So just doing basic poses can be an advanced practice as well, focusing on how you're doing, not what you're doing. Inhale into chair pose. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Step back into dog or take a vinyasa, your call. Raise your right leg up like you're creating the tension holding the block. Keep the rib cage in. Shift into plank and pull your knee to your chest. Step your foot up to your thumb. Press down through your heel. Stretch your right hip crease back and then come up into crescent. Raise your arms. So you have all that same integrity. Now right hand to your hip and twist, hook your left elbow to your knee. Press your elbow down, lengthen through your thoracic. Look down and make sure that you're long through the midline like I drew a line down the center of your mat. Then join your palms together. Put your right hand on your hip. Put your left hand a foot in front of your foot onto the block, and then step up to balance on your right leg. Okay, now first things first, hug the legs like you're holding the block again. Tendency for the rib cage to drop, so you're gonna hold it in. Now lengthen through your middle upper spine, out through your crown. And then let me see if you can start to turn your rib cage. Now the block limits how much you can twist, so just be aware of that. You're not gonna go into the full expression of the pose, but what we're working here is the stability from waist down. Now, if you wanna try to put your hand on the floor, try to do that to get a little more thoracic twist, but without losing what we did down here. Did the groin start to cross? Hug the inner thigh so that the groin's uncrossed, lengthen through your lower back, and then maybe take your right arm up once you're steady. Fold forward, Uttanasana. Now, if that's too gnarly, you can do it with your back foot down. Just practice from the lunge. Bend your knees and roll up to stand. Inhale, chair pose. Arms forward. Cross your right leg up and over your left. Cross your right elbow under. Now lean your chest out over your knee, keeping a flat back. Uncross your right leg and reach it back into Vira 3. Step back into crescent. Uncross your arms and reach up. Remember when you're holding the block, rib cage aiming straight down. Left hand to your hip, twist. Once you get the elbow to hook, look down. Go long to the midline. So your tailbone is pointing straight back through the imaginary line, the crown of your head. Join your palms together. Engage your legs without sacrificing your breath. Now you can do the next pose from the lunged position or from balancing. Your call. Left hand on your hip, right hand down. Step up if you're going to do the balance. Okay, now, so first things first, see if you can just get the legs working, the lumbar long. Now imagine your back foot was pressed against the wall. Without this back leg moving, you might try to go deeper like Amber did. Go ahead, Amber, when you're ready. Don't let this back leg sink. There you go. Now pull your left hip back towards me a little. Good. Lengthen through your thoracic spine. Push into your left foot even. And fold forward. Roll yourself up to stand. Inhale into chair pose. Arms forward. Cross your left leg up and over your right, left elbow under. So one of the things about this work is that it wasn't, when I would go to these workshops, it wasn't as physically exhausting for me as it was mentally exhausting. I'd go home like I felt like I needed a nap because my brain had been working so much trying to turn everything on. Yeah, it was, and then I'd feel super sore the next day, like, wow, I didn't even know I could work those areas. Then start to lean your chest out over your knee, uncross your leg, reach back into warrior three. Step back into crescent. Now bring your hands to your hips. Straighten your right leg and step your back foot a little bit closer. Inhale your left arm up. Exhale, reach and twist, twisted triangle. Remember the work that we did holding the blocks. Your inner legs are turned on. You have stability through your middle, but not to overdo. Press into your feet like a windmill. Come up and around. Turn to face the other side. Pivot your back foot in, a little more than halfway, then reach and twist. Press into your feet, inhale, come up. Turn the feet parallel, except we're going to turn around so that you don't get it. Then clasp your hands behind your back, roll your shoulders back, open up your chest, and fold forward. Set your fingertips down, inhale, make a flat back. Walk around to the front of your mat and step back into downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Come into plank on your forearms. Engage your legs, engage your core. Now let me see if you can keep the legs and the core turned on and then just shift your body back so that the elbows start to come out in front of you. You could also walk one elbow forward and then the other, but that one is super advanced. So I would just try to shift the whole body back 3 inches, maybe even 6 inches. Keep your core braced. Don't strain your neck. Is your upper back and neck starting to hunch? Then bring your shoulders back over your elbows. Hold there. One more time. Draw back. Good. Keep your core braced. Try not to strain up here. Hug the inner thighs. Turn on your legs. Shoulders come back over your elbows. Last one. Shift back. And shift forward. Set your hips down. Sphinx pose. Then curl your toes under, come back into plank on your forearms. Walk into down dog on your forearms. Turn your triceps on, spread across the back of your neck. Turn on your legs, inner thighs. And then see if you can maintain as you raise your right leg. Squeeze the imaginary block, ribs in. Change, raise the left. Lower the left. Set your knees down. Balasana. Knees together as you point your toes back. Head down. Take your arms back at your side. Lie on your back. Block in between your thighs. Arms at your side. Turn your toes to point straight ahead. Now as you press down into your feet, hug the block evenly and then lift your hips up. What's going to want to happen? The backs of the legs are going to want to hug into the block faster, stronger. Instead, hug right with the inner thigh even. Push into your feet even. Can you feel your heel especially? Be right on the center of your heel. Don't let the weight twist to the inside or outside of the left or the right. Feel your hamstrings turn on. Are they both squeezed evenly? Lower your hips back down. Repeat, lift the hips back up. Now you can hold this or you can remove the block, try to keep the memory of the block and maybe go into wheel pose, Urdhva Dhanurasana if that's something you do. Upward facing bow rather. And then once you get up, remember the work of the legs, but don't overdo it where you crunch your neck and your shoulders. Lower yourself back down. Open your arms out to the side like cactus arms. Cross your right knee over your left knee and shift your hips over to the right a little. Let your knees go over to the left. Bring your knees and your hips back to center. Change the cross of your legs. Hips over to the left a little bit, knees to the right. Come back to center. Take happy baby, reach onto the insides of your knees, grab a hold of the outsides of your feet or your big toes. Let your back release, let your groins release. And then stretch your legs out for Shavasana. Relax and let go. And gently bend your knees. Roll onto your side. And press yourself up to seated. Bring your palms together. Thank you. Namaste. All right, thank you. Good job today. Hey, you guys know Francesca, right? Some of you guys have been doing the channel for a while. Friend of the channel, Francesca, she started her own yoga clothing line, which Amber's wearing today. So we love to support Francesca. You're already following Amber already, but I'm gonna put the link to Francesca's stuff so you can check it out and help to support her too. Okay, cool. Hope that you learned something today. If you felt something new in your body from doing that stuff, let me know. Did you feel anything new?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So let me know below, and we'll see you next time.